Hi, in this video we are going to continue our contract interactions, and in this one we are going to go a slightly more complex way. So we are going to mint NFTs. For doing that, we are also going to take help from this Thirdweb documentation. And inside here we can see that there is a get a single NFT, querying or transferring one, or getting NFTs of a specific wallet with use NFT balance. So we are going to do this one actually. For our wallet page, we are going to display the NFTs owned by a user. And also we are going to do a minting. So for minting, we can go to this ERC721 mintable. And inside, we can see there is a useMintNFT hook. So in this video, we are going to actually implement those values, and you're going to see it's actually really easy with the help of this Thirdweb tools. So I have both of them open in front of me. Let's start with Mint actually. So both of them contains empty HTML. So the wallet had like title, and this Mint NFT has like a form that a user has to fill out. So in case you wonder, you can just take a look at here. This is pretty basic. I'm sure you guys are also familiar with this syntax. We have a name, description, and image URL for the NFT. And this input fields are controlled by these useState variables. Once any of them change, we just use these corresponding functions to actually handle the change in any of them. But what we are mostly interested in is actually this HandleSubmit, because if all of the values are filled, we are going to mint an NFT based on the data that user has provided us. So inside this HandleSubmit, we don't have anything at the moment. What we need is like a try and catch block. We don't actually know how it's going to be resulting. So try catch is a good idea. After the try catch, we need to make sure name, description, and this image URL are all filled. So in case any of them is empty, let's return an error maybe, because we don't want to be creating NFTs with empty values. And so in this case, without the curly braces, let's return. And after that, we can just create a metadata. So let's actually take a look again of the Thirdweb. So we are going to use these two lines. So this is helping us. So I would just copy this. And also we can see that there is name and two. So this is the minimum requirement for calling this mint NFT function. So we will combine our name, description, and image URL with this two, since this two is also necessary to know who are we minting for. So let's paste the lines I have copied. But instead of using them, of course, we are going to use our own. So for the NFT contracts, we are going to use get NFT contract, and we are going to provide this NFT contract here. This useMintNFT is something we need to import. And let's actually start calling these functions. The first thing we need to do is actually come up with the metadata. And for this, actually, we have a type. Let me show you that one. We have a mint metadata, which is consisting of all the requirements that we are getting from the user, and to and supply, which are the needed variables. And maybe I can show you them when we call it. So let's say mint NFT. And if we click this use mint NFT, you can see there's mint NFT parameters. And inside the metadata to and supply, these two are why I have added them. And this metadata contains a lot of information. They are all optional. So we have chosen to stick with image, name, and description. So let's create the metadata of type mint metadata, the one I have showed you. And inside that, let's add missing properties. So we have image coming from the user with the same name, right? These are all having the same name, so I can just delete these parts and they will be automatically equal to each other. And for the two, we actually need our own address. And for this, I will introduce a new hook, which is useAddress, provided by Thirdweb again. In anywhere of our applications, since we have connected our wallet, we can just say const address is useAddress. Import statement has been updated, and now we actually have an address. So for two, let's call our own address. Since it's string or undefined, let's go like this. so that we can ensure that it's going to be a string. And with this metadata, we are actually ready to call the mint NFT function from here. And just like before, we don't need to worry about is loading an error. We can just render something based on what they are at the moment. After this form, maybe we can just create a logic for is loading. And let's call this is loading. And if we are in the process of minting, let's just have a text saying that minting in progress. And just like before, we don't need to worry about this is loading variable updating because it's going to keep up to date since it's a React hook. And let's go text center. And we can do the same thing for error as well. But the only difference with error is that, so this is loading, if you just hover over it, you can see it's a Boolean value. But for this error, is actually unknown. And if you take a look at what useMintNFT has inside, you can see that it's going to be of type unknown as well. So it's specifically determined to return unknown. So that's why we need to explicitly say we are aware that it's unknown, but we are going to attempt to get it as a Boolean to say that if it exists or not. And if it does, let's actually print out a line just like this one. If not, we are just going to do nothing basically. And for this, we can just go minting error. And this is how we are going to handle errors as well. And most of the cases, this is loading is going to be Boolean, so it's going to be easy to work with. But this error is usually going to be of type unknown, since the error it doesn't have a generic type, since it can be caused by a lot of things in this application. This line is actually how we can work with it. So this HandleSubmit will actually mint an NFT for the address that we are providing, which is our own address in this case. We also want the users to have their own wallet pages. And inside this wallet page, we want to show them their NFTs, basically. And for this, let's also take a quick look at the documentation. So as you can see, this use NFT balance is something we can use. But there is also another one, which is called useOwnedNFTs. Now I prefer to use this one actually. So let's copy and paste this to the top of our page. Then we will modify it to our own use case. So for the contract, as always, we have our own NFT contract. This is, by the way, your own wallet address. So for this, we can just say address, just like before. And we can say and while it's loading to format the code, let's actually go on like it's working. So the first thing we need to check for is if the wallet exists or not. So in case we have no wallet, what I mean by wallet is address, by the way. And in case we don't have an address, we need to handle this case. After that, we need to handle is loading. And if is loading is finished, we can, for this, let's go loading NFT data. And in case it finishes, we can actually map the owned NFTs. So for this, let's call no wallet detected. And this use address needs to be imported. For the contract, let's go with NFT contracts. Then we are basically ready to use the owned NFTs because we are handling the no address case and if it's loading or not. And after that, we are actually don't have any more errors that we need to work with. Let's map this owned NFTs and we need to check if it exists or not because it can be also like undefined or empty array. So let's go owned NFTs.map. For each owned NFT, let's get the NFT itself with ID. And we are going to use this ID to create the key because every HTML element needs to be identifiable with a unique key, as you probably know. So let's say key is card. By the way, this NFT card is like UI component I have made, and it's also available for you in the template as well. So you don't need to be worrying about how this is going to be rendered. And it's going to take the NFT inside. And with this, we have our own wallet page, which shows the owned NFTs as a separate cards. And while we are waiting, we are going to see loading NFT data. And while we don't have an address, we are going to see this line. And it's as easy as it gets with only calling a single hook that is provided by Thirdweb. So this was it actually for the wallet implementation. And in the next one, we are going to get a bit more complex with the marketplace implementation.